In yet another blow to the survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, on June 12, the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed a lawsuit filed by the last two survivors, Viola Fletcher, 110, and Lessie Randle, 109. The lawsuit aimed to compel the city of Tulsa and other entities to provide reparations for the devastation of the once thriving Greenwood district, known as Black Wall Street, where an estimated 300 Black Americans were killed by white mobs. The court upheld a lower court's decision. Further, the 9 judges affirmed a lower court judge's identical ruling last July, concluding that simply being connected to a historical event does not provide a person with unlimited rights to seek compensation. This is a stark contrast in how our nation responds to national tragedies, like the aftermath of the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, and the 9/11 attacks. The 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre is a domestic terrorism attack that was never addressed as such, revealing deep-seated inequalities in America's approach to justice and reparations for Black Americans. For those who don't remember, on April 19, 1995, a truck bomb exploded outside a federal building in Oklahoma City, killing 168 people and injuring hundreds more. Within months, Congress passed legislation to support the victims and their families, providing compensation and resources for recovery. Similarly, following the 9/11 attacks in 2001, the government established the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, which has paid over $7 billion to victims' families and survivors. In 1988, over 40 years after World War II, Congress passed the Civil Liberties Act, offering a formal apology and $20,000 in compensation to each surviving internee. This act recognized that the internment, based solely on ethnicity, violated American principles of justice. These substantial responses demonstrate our nation's capacity for benevolence, respectfulness, and concrete assistance in the wake of tragedy. These responses differ significantly from the treatment of survivors from the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. A white mob attacked the thriving Black community of Greenwood, killing up to 300 residents and destroying over 1,200 homes and businesses. Unlike the Oklahoma City bombing victims, the massacre deliberately targeted a community based on race, aiming to destroy not just lives but generational wealth and prosperity. Tulsa survivors received no immediate aid, no justice, and no recognition for decades. Insurance companies in the city of Tulsa denied claims, citing riot exclusions. No perpetrators were held accountable, although some local officials not only failed to stop the violence, but even participated in it. Reparations are not about punishing current generations for past crimes, but about society taking responsibility for its history and making a genuine effort to repair long-standing harms. When we compensate victims of recent tragedies, but ignore historical injustices, we send a message about whose suffering matters. The legal constructs should not overshadow the clear moral imperative to address this injustice. Compensating the remaining survivors and their descendants would represent a meaningful step towards acknowledging the truth and its enduring consequences. The Tulsa survivors' quest for redress is a test of the nation's character. Will we rise to the challenge of truly making amends, or will we allow legal technicalities to stand in the way of moral responsibility? Despite the setback, the legal team representing Mrs. Fletcher and Mrs. Randle plan to file a petition for the Oklahoma Supreme Court to rehear the case and reconsider their decision. The fight for justice continues even as time is running out for the last two survivors.